Hi guys, this is Mark Teaches Music. I'm Mark Black, and this is episode 60 of To Play and Sing at Mark Teaches Music. This is not quite the way I wanted my head to look. See if I can get my head a little less shiny. Shiny! There you go, that's a little less. That's interesting. Well, let's just go with that. So, today is the 5th day of September 2023. This is episode 60 of To Play and Sing at Mark Teaches Music. Again, I just said that, but I have fun saying it. So I want you to have fun. I want you to be awesome. I want you to be great at music. So in this To Play and Sing live stream, I'm trying to answer all the questions you might have in music, although I have a topic, and the topic is how should I practice? Which is a great topic. You know, how should I practice? What should I practice? And so your questions, you can interrupt my soliloquy with questions about practicing, performing, developing skills, you know, how your personality affects your music, anything about being in bands, choirs, and concert bands, orchestras, whatever. And so for more information about lessons, go to www.dallasmusiclessons.com. And if you got any questions, you need to put them in the chat, man. But if you get it after this is over, then it's too late. No, then send me an email at mark@dallasmusiclessons.com. And I will do my best to answer your questions, because I'm into that, man, answering your questions. So I want you to jump right in and send me your questions, and just put them in the chat, and that'll be great. And I'll, get on it. And I always reserve the right to say, I do not know. I know not. However, and if you like this, you're supposed to like and subscribe and hit notifications. The notifications thing is good because when we have changed the format, all of us here have changed the format to so doing the live stream on the Q&A with me having a topic, which again today is how should I practice. But then and then on Wednesdays doing a video on how, not how to, but improvising. And the improvisation video is me play back and forth. I'll play for 4/8 measures, and then you play, and we're going back and forth and getting trading eights basically, and in different styles, all kind of styles, and on all kind of instruments. But that's tomorrow, and that'll be a video released. So anyway, so like, subscribe, and click the bell, and share this live stream, and share these videos. Okay, so here's the topic: how should I practice? Now, again, you put in your questions. Just answer your questions. I answer them. I answer. You ask. You ask the questions. I'll answer the questions. And so I'm going to go from the biggest picture down to moderate detail, because I'm not going to get into instrument specific, although I'm going to get into instrument category specific. For example, not specifically the contrast, but the contrast between a vocalist practicing and a pianist practicing and a guitarist practicing and a woodwind player, which would be very similar to the brass and somewhat similar to stringed instruments, talking about that. So from the biggest picture on down to a fair level of granularity. So the first thing is in your practicing. Now listen, guys need to do this. I'm telling you, it'll make such a big difference in your music. So the first thing is you need to freaking clarify your goals. And I realize completely that most people, I've taught almost 3,000 people private lessons, not 3,000 private lessons, 3,000 people private lessons. And so I understand that most people, half of those people, they just want to play some songs. I just want to play some songs. I want to play around the campfire. I want to, it's just all great. Nothing wrong with that at all. My gosh, it's like saying I have a math degree, and I'm only happy with people who want to do, form an analysis in calculus 2, and I don't care that you can add your grocery bill. No. So musically, I'm happy for people who just wanted to, play with their friends and that kind of stuff. Super cool. But you need to think about what you need to clarify what you want to accomplish. If you want to be amazing, you want to be adequate. And part of that is to think about your style. So if you like classical, you like jazz, you're going to have to either be, and I don't mean this negatively, you're going to either be smarter to where you can play that harder music, or you're going to have to practice more, or you're going to have some, and we'll maybe talk about a little bit about the 9, by me saying it, the 9 factors in being able to play well, like things like how smart you are, how skilled your fingers are. And I'm talking about practicing just without any preparation, how skilled, physically skilled you are, how good your ear skills are. These things add up to this person does something and it's easy for him. This other person does something and it's hard for him. And basically everybody who's a good musician pretty much has a mix of these skills. It's usually not just one thing or the other. It's sort of an adjustment of different things, a combination of different things. So anyway, so the first thing is you need to clarify what you're trying to accomplish. And the thing would be to say to yourself, which we talked about in the last week, hey, Tom, is to say, what do I want to be doing in 2 to 5 years musically? What is it that I'm saying to do? Is it I'm sitting around the campfire, I'm playing with some friends, I'm sitting in my room just singing songs that I like? Is it harder music? Do I envision myself playing in a group? Maybe not for money, but regularly, and what are they playing? Are they playing hard stuff? Are they playing, what kind of music would make you happy? Does it make you happy? I'm not being rude. Does it make you happy to play early Taylor Swift and simple songs? Is that, what's going to make you happy? Is it only going to make you happy if you're playing Chick Corea? It's like, well, those things are kind of self-defining. So I'm not trying to. This is not a punt answer. This is like a real. Here we are doing it. So you also have with that. You have to decide how much you're going to practice, you're willing to practice. And you can say, like I just had a lesson with someone, and it's like, they're saying pretty much, and I have, a couple of other students that are like saying, hey, I either, earlier students saying, I'm a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, and I really don't have time to practice more than an hour a week, and then musically that's pretty low, like kind of hard to develop skills with that, but not impossible, but a little hard to do. So you need to think about that, how much you're willing to practice to meet this goal. I mean, I'm serious, this is a thought process you need to go through. But that issue about how much you're going to practice, you can ponder that over time. You don't have to, because again, or not having said again, can't get over the I'm from the South, and there's a saying that the hen that cackles is the one that lays the egg, and which it doesn't exactly apply here, but it's just the students that have always gone on and on and on about how great lessons are and how much they're going to do, and oh my gosh, this is so amazing, and la la la. There, for some reason, I don't know why, but those are the people who don't end up sticking it out. And a lot of times people who have a smaller statement end up hanging in there better. So I'm saying you can ponder. You don't have to decide right now I'm going to practice 17 hours a day. You can just see how things go, and from time to time you reassess and you say, am I hitting what I meant to hit? And you need to think about that. So that's the overview. Now in your practicing, and again I'm just talking about stuff here. So we have short-term, medium-term, and long-term, not goals, but achievements, things that need to be achieved in the short term, things that need to be achieved and help us in the medium term, and things that need to be achieved and help us in the long term. So the short term things are songs and pieces of music. That is, in the short term, on a regular basis, you want, I'm telling you these, I've given you 3 things to practice now. I'm saying you want things that, hey, in the short term, once a month, once every, 3 weeks, once every 2 months, I achieve a song, check it out. I can play this song. I'm saying, whatever you're doing, and it could be more than that. And again, you guys got to understand, I have people from, I don't do anything musically, to I am a professional musician and I'm playing a gig twice a week. And so it's like, I'm talking about, so how many songs are we talking about within that panorama? There's a lot of different people. So you need to divide your practice into 3 parts in a general sense of in the short term, and things I need to achieve. You need to be working on songs. I have students, and there's people that come in, they're working on these licks. These are all good things. They're working on licks. They're working on this one elephantine gigantic song, for 2 years, and other people who are just churning out, song after song after song. And as a stereotype, the people who are doing all these detail things will finish one song a year, and the people who are just churning out songs, they do 200 songs, but they're very sloppy. What we like to do is get in the middle, to where it's like I'm putting out a good number of songs that I'm learning and getting more skillful, but they're pretty skillful, and there's a pretty fair amount of them. And then there's medium term things, which are would be like exercises and developing skills that, hey, this takes a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months to bear fruition. It may not be completed with I think every instrument would have different things that, as I call them, permanent exercises, things that you'd want to do forever. So it'd be like your scales, your pentatonic, major scales, pentatonic scales, blues scales. It's like, I'm never going to say I don't need that anymore, probably. And but that's a step. So to begin with is like, I'm doing these things. These are about me being skillful. My fingers, my ears, and things working for me. And then we have long-term, either goals or long-term achievements, and that would be things like music theory, ear training, rhythm training, my understanding of music. I understand music, and that makes everything, you understand everything. So now so again, I had short-term songs, middle-term exercises, and skills that are pieces of songs, and then long-term is theory, ear training, rhythm training, things that are making me everything work better. So now, looking at each of those, I'm going to start with the middle, and now if you have a question, just stick it in right now. So I'm soliloquying on how to practice right now. So in the middle, looking at the middle term, the things that take a month, 2 months to bear fruition, and again, I'm saying some of these things are not, we don't complete them. We just continue to get better at them. It all depends on where you are. But they're working on your muscles, your fingers, the mechanism. That can be the vocalist, which I am a vocalist. That my vocal mechanism works for me like I want to. My fingers work for me like I want them to. So, and what we're seeking when we're doing these exercises now and building skill building, is that we're looking for comfort, we're looking for muscle memory, we're looking for things to feel natural. And what we've done is we've taken all your exercises. You need to be thinking about all the exercises you're doing. Is this something that's a part, what exercises should be is we took all the songs you ever played or wanted to play, and we put them in a pot, and we mixed them up, and we boiled out and what's left, or here are these 10 essential things that is in every song, or most of my songs, or these 30 things that are just, oh my gosh, if I could do these 30 things great, then every song would be better. That's what this middle term, these exercises and skills are about, making songs easier. And depending on the instrument, these would divide into, first off, most of them are in terms of agility. In other words, I'm fast, I can do what I need to do quickly. I can play the scale quickly, I can sing quickly. And that would, depending on the instrument, so for the guitar, the piano, they would need, I'm just mentioning one of them would be chords. I need to be able to play chords quickly. I need to be able to recognize chords. Then I have, arpeggios, which is a chord-based, broken chord, note by note. And that's kind of in the middle between a chord and a scale. A scale, chord, play these notes simultaneously to make this sound. Play a scale, linear, horizontally, and I need to, so that's one pole, one end of this agility skill thing. And but the sax player, he's going to arpeggiate, but he can't play a chord. The trombone player can't play a chord. The vocalist can't play a chord. But they can play in the middle, the arpeggios, which is the chord individually, which is similar to a scale. So I'm just commenting. You're looking at your music and you're saying, does my music involve these things? Like I said, a chording instrument, a polyphonic instrument, can play more than one note at a time, needs to know chords, because that is part of what they do, and they need to know the names of chords and how to use them. And then they need these more linear things like arpeggios and then scales to make adlib, or if it's a classical student, all he's doing, then a lot of his music is just notes, just scales. It's parts of scales. And then we're working, and this is a separate part of these exercises, is that we're working on this medium term, is we're working on tone. Our tone having a beautiful sound that could include on different instruments, and the voice range. And of course, we'll come to this in a second about kind of specific things that are, each instrument has things that are more advanced skills that either have something in common with another instrument or they do not. But at the moment, just developing a great tone on your voice, a great tone on the violin, a great tone on the trumpet, on the tuba, on the saxophone. But the guitarist, now I realize you're going to tweak on your amp and put in compression and all this kind of stuff, but that's, and it's very important, but you're not working on your tone like, oh my gosh, I can't sing today, or I have a really nasal tone, because you're just going to, you're going to hit a little thing and say, okay, that's not right. The pianist is not working on that. The bass player is not working on that. The mandolin player is not working on that. And again, you don't need to say, I worked for, hey, TDB. Don't say, hey, I worked on my tone for 27 years. You did, and I do on the guitar and on different instruments, and I'm not happy or want to change the tone here and there, but you're not working on it as an organic. It's more of a work in progress. It's more of a, change these strings, change this pick higher, and you're doing it, but with a different set of instruments, the voice, the winds, somewhat the strings. It's a more organic, long-term process. Not discovering it, being able to, like, I know what I want to sound like, I just can't sound like that tone-wise. So that's in this middle category of things we're working on. How should I practice? And then on the and I put that in the middle, and then I'm skipping to the short term. Now your songs. Now of course, songs, music, that is the target. And I'm saying you're predicating everything. I said in the very beginning, you're predicating everything you want to do, everything you're doing on, I want to play these kinds of songs. I want them to be easy. I want to do a bunch of them. I want it to be natural to me. And then therefore I do these other things, including the exercises, because they're in the songs. And I'm telling you, I say it, half of people that have, not me, but half of the people who come to me for lessons, that have had lessons with other people, are doing things that have nothing to do with what they really want to play. They're exercising things that other people told them because they were told themselves, and so I'm saying you need to look at what you're doing. Does everything I'm doing in all these categories contribute to my songs, my music, the stuff I want to do? So and we talked about that last week, how to discover what you should be doing, what kind of songs should you work on. So and when you practice your song, I'm talking about a daily practice on your song, it's always a mix of, it needs to be, I'm telling you, it needs to be a mix of performance. I don't stop, and I put it all together, and there it is. And then a time-wise mix. I just sang the entire song, I just played the entire song, or what I can do. A mix with that, performance and perfection. I played to measure 11, and then I do not have a clue what that girl is singing right there. I've got to figure out what that girl is singing. So I got to stop, I got to decode what that girl's doing and figure it out and try to work on it and do it. Or have this place I cannot play, have this place I cannot play, have this place I cannot play. So I'm going to stop and do those two measures, and I'm going to break it into 2 beats and master this 2 beats and this 2 beats, and I'm going to do those 2 beats together perfectly 5 times in a row. Then I'm going to get so I'm breaking things down into parts, trying to get the parts. And imagine this screen as the time I spend on my song, which is not the only thing I'm doing. I'm doing exercises, I'm doing other things. But if this screen is the time then I'm going to spend at least half my time on perfecting things, stopping, and then at least half my time on performing. Now, you can make an exception to that if you are performing regularly, and you may need to make an exception to that. If you're, many professional musicians have a hard time practicing, getting skillful, or keeping their skills because they're performing all the time. They're traveling to a gig and they're setting up and they're breaking down and they're doing all this stuff, and they lose the time they had to get where they got because now they're successful. So I'm saying if you're performing a lot, then you may need to perform, that is, in your personal time. You spend perhaps less time on putting pieces together because you're doing that every night, or you're doing that 4 nights a week, and spend more time on working out, keeping up your skills, and developing new skills. It's something to ponder. And then when you're working on songs, you need a mix of songs. This is you, if you are the decider. So use songs that are slow, songs that are fast, songs that are beautiful, songs that are funky and aggressive, songs that are hard, songs that are easy. Each one of those kinds of songs and other things like that open up and work on different areas. So if you only work on tower power funk and go from there newer, then it's going to be you will become that musician. There are exceptions. I'm thinking of Corey Wong as a great exception, who plays many styles very well, and it's so nice to hear him play many styles. But most people, including famous people, they find a genre, they stick in that genre, and that's what they do. And if that's what you want, back to the original, what I want to do is play, my go-to is Zydeco. I want to play Zydeco, So if that's what you want to do, and you're just like, don't want anything else, then it's fine. And within the confines of Zydeco, you play easy songs and slow songs and fast songs, and so that world, every genre, every nuance of that world, you're fluent in. And if it's for many people, it would want to be a little bigger than just that. So and you need to perform regularly. You need to perform. I used it a minute ago as a way to play. I don't stop. But you need to perform regularly, because that is the test. Now, if you are, and don't make yourself shyer than you are, but if you just cannot play for anybody else, the minimum, and this is a great minimum, commit to making a video every 3 weeks. You don't have to publish the video. You just keep it on your computer, and it's just like every month. The time is not important. The point is, I take my songs and I'm trying to make a finished product. This is the product, and you're learning things like how to simplify. I never could get this lick. I'm going to change the lick. I never could do this part. I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to do it in a different key. And so these compromises, if they're needed, you either practice up to it and you didn't need to compromise, or you made a compromise because, hey, I got to make a video in 10 days. How can I do that? These are things that professional musicians and, and I, like I'm sure many of you do watch, videos of different amazing musicians and composers and different, including classical composers, making decisions and compromises on what they're doing because they various reasons, and that is an important part of being a musician, and you need to do that. Now, some other I'm talking about right now, that you need to be performing your pieces, even if it means making a video that nobody sees, which is fine if that's all you can do. Although it's better to do it live. And we're not. The point is the pressure, but not pressure like you suck it up, buttercup. That's not the point. The point is the decisions you make, and you figure out how to simplify or practice harder or whatever. So it's like, here's the product, and everybody thinks it's great, and only well, I actually doing it a whole step down. It's fine, and that ability, that changes that you made, or if you talk to professional musicians, they're going to be saying, yeah, we did this differently than we planned originally. Okay, now in that part of the short-term songs, performances, pieces, is riffs, cool things that people did. It could be an entire solo that somebody did, and also down to a measure or two that somebody did, and that is sort of micro skills. That guy did this thing. Whoa, that's so cool. I want to learn that. This guy did this thing. It's so cool. It's so interesting. So you learn it and you develop the skills, and you like to deconstruct it. I can put it in the key of F. I can put it in B, C minor, and put it in key of A, and it bleeds into you. And then when you go to improvise, then those things are in you and a part of you. And then depending on what you wanted to do, all of you have the ability to ad lib, to improvise. Every classical piece started off as an ad lib, with somebody saying da 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 da. Now what? Now he may have said, "I'm going to do a perfect fifth," you know, whatever it is. I don't care what it is. I want to do. You may say intellectually, and at the same time, his ear said it sounds like this. So it's not 6 1 half dozen the other, because music is a pair of the ears, and it's about the ear. But anyway, so the point is, a guy made up something, and then a classical guy will come back and or a composer, songwriter will say, "I thought of this. This is cool." He adds, he changes. That's what we want. So I'm saying a part of your performing of this short-term things we want to be doing that are happening regularly is learning the riffs, which is sort of short ideas. Sight reading, which is your entry point. Here's all the songs, from the hardest song in the world to the easiest song in the world. Your entry point, when I pick up a song, how good can I do this to begin with, is usually dependent upon your ability to sight read. And you want to get better and better, so I have less and less work to do. And if you take lessons with somebody or you play with a good player, you're frequently amazed with somebody like, "Man, he just played the first time, it sounded great. He never even heard that song before, and he did it better than I can do it, and I've been working on it for 6 months." That kind of statement, that's somebody who's a great sight reader. So you want to be sight reading if you can get to where you can do that. That would include going to ultimateguitar.com and downloading a chart for a song that you kind of know, but you hadn't played it, so you just play it. In fact, as a record player, it's like, well, I hadn't expected this until you're learning, and then once you do it twice, you just get rid of it, because we're not trying to perfect this song. It's not our new song. You're just learning so that when you go to the next song, your song, somebody else's song that you want to do, instead of you starting here and you got this work, or you're starting here, I can halfway do this right now. So sight reading, and think about that. And then ad-libbing, which I was saying a second ago, improvising, making up melodies. Everybody can do that, whether you want to or not. There's a different story. Back to our goals. And then, so then long-term goals, or long-term realizations, another way to say it perhaps, is things like understanding music theory, ear training, rhythm training. And what that does is it means that you understand music as a whole, and you're able to make tons of shortcuts, tons of workarounds, not workarounds that are lame, workarounds like, I did this in half a time that the other guy did. This is about, for most people, this is about ear training, meaning I can play songs by ear. It's not because I played 6,000 songs in the key of F and finally figured out what those chords are. It's because I know what the chords are in the key of F, because I understand music theory. You can understand music theory. Now your ear has something to hang on to. I say this song is in the key of E, and then I know that the chords are E, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A, B, C sharp minor, perhaps a D diminished. And so therefore my ear says, well, when I hear that A chord, instead of hearing it as an A chord, I can start to learn to hear that as a 4 chord, which is in pretty much every song on the planet. And so I can train my ear. Or another thing with that is, like I just said, I know the chords in so-and-so key. If I'm playing the key of D, I don't wonder if there's a G chord or an A chord. There probably is, and I can use my ear to tell. So I'm saying these are long-term things you'd like to happen. It takes them longer time to bear fruit, but the fruit is sweet when it arrives. So another thing that's a good thing to practice is chronic, two things, things that everybody who plays your instrument does. So like on the saxophone, altissimo register, the same thing for the flute. I think the saxophone would be more common. So playing above the written fingering. I'm giving you an example. On the guitar, it might be tapping. It might be sweep picking. You're saying everybody does this stuff. Back to your goals. What do I want to do? Everybody does this stuff. And it's like, and in the way I want to play, everybody does this stuff. And so you're saying, well, I need to do this. And so these are things you need to be practicing. Now, most of what I said now so far is in that medium. I'm working on this, and this is going in my songs. It's not a song; it's a part of a song. So, big skills that people are expected to do that and also that you want to do, and then chronic problems, the opposite. Rather than this, everybody wants to do this and I do too, but I have this problem. And another thing is, like, for example, F fingers on the flute, or going from B to C and F to F sharp on the saxophone. There tends to be the way they fingered it. Everybody has trouble getting those fingers to come up exactly in time so they don't overlap. So it's things that everybody has to practice. And then with that, things that just you have a problem with, I don't know why, but you have a problem with so-and-so, so those would go in what I would call a flub list. It's your flub list. These are things that every flute player has a problem with, or every guitar player has a problem with. And then I also have a special problem with this little thing here. I don't know what it is. And so you're trying to fix up those little problems. Now, when you're practicing, you always have to think about, so the voice is a physical instrument. It's the instrument. So you can, which is no problem. You can hear my voice getting kind of rough as I'm talking here. I had this delicious cup of coffee from my wife. It's helping. But this is no big deal. It's just for me talking without stopping for a long 30 minutes. However, when you're practicing with the voice, the physical instrument, the voice, you do need to be careful, just in the sense of, and then here we go to all the instruments, chronic pain, chronic problems. You need to be aware of them. Don't be a little wimp. You're like, oh no, my arm hurts. Oh no, my throat's hurting. I mean it's like chronic. So if you practice on any of these instruments for a long time, you can say in the voice, you can say, I think I'm straining my voice. I think I need to back off. It is true that we do need to push on all the instruments. We need to go higher than we wanted to or used to, longer, stronger, softer, all these extremes. That's how we grow. We get bigger because we're doing harder and harder things. If you practiced and played a lot, hey, I'm going too far now. It's hurting me. But as you're trying to figure it out, chronic repeating problems, repetitive motions. Now I'm to physical, external instruments now. I'm saying, your wrist, your lip, saxophone, you bite your lip because you're not opening up your jaw. Trumpet players, what I'm saying is, when you notice these problems that are small problems, you want to kind of notice them. Hey, my arm is hurting here a little bit, and you can probably just say, I'm gonna ignore it. But if you come back tomorrow and it's the same, and you come back the next day and it's a little worse, and somewhere in there you need to grab, wait a minute, stop. I don't want to keep going on. And that goes for the voice. It goes for all instruments. I'm just saying, in your practicing, I'm talking about practicing, saying you need to look out for sort of chronic small problems. Don't be afraid of them, but be aware of them. Hey, I wonder if this is something that might build up in something larger. So so watching for repetitive motions or actions that are building up pain over time, we want to eliminate that. And then, just by the way, your fingertips, for guitar and mandolin and bass and things like that usually goes away pretty quickly. So if you just started playing any of those instruments, usually within a month, your fingers aren't going to hurt anymore. So, and then you practice, just summing up right here, you practice differently if you have a gig coming up. So we're talking about right now kind of the long term. I have 2 years to get great, as opposed to in 2 days I'm going to be singing. I'm going to be auditioning for college. On 2 days I'm for college music school. In 2 days I'm going to be singing on TV. And so you practice differently in general, you'd focus much more on the performance as opposed to the long-term and middle-term exercises, and you'd focus more on how is this performance still targeting problem areas. You want to target those problem areas, and you could do those problem areas. I'm talking about two measures you can't do, or a high note that you can't do, whatever, until that little problem area, you do it 15-20% faster than it goes, do it 750 times. These ideas, you focus on that, and you to where that instead of at the weak place, that's the strong place. It becomes muscle memory, oral memory, the hard places, and because it has an immediate payoff, we're going to focus on the short-term things, the short payoff things, the songs, and then you, like a duck on a June bug, as to say, when you hear a problem, but also you feel a weakness. You are ambiguous in a place. Oh my gosh, I'm not sure. You get it right, but it was scary. Go to that place and fix it. Make it great. The people who say I'm not going to practice, there are very few people who can pull that off. If you're not going to practice, you in general are thrown on your ear. And you can focus. So two things you need to do if you're not going to practice. Number one is you need to do a lot of active listening. You need to pay attention closely to the song. I mean, you're in your car, you're not practicing. You're like, oh, this is cool. Instead of like, hey, it's cool, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I want to sing the song. I want to get all the little details this guy does. And you want to listen to them, try to absorb all the details. Just in your listening, you're trying to get an oral picture that's very strong. And the second thing is, every time you perform, I'm talking about you are doing something now, you're performing for your friends, you got to give it your all. And the norm, when you sing happy birthday, it's got to be like, happy birthday to you. It's got to be like, I am singing, not heavy. So every time you do play your instrument or sing your song, it's with all your might, everything you need to do, so that that little tiny bit of performing does become the norm, so that it becomes comfortable for you. Okay, now that is a summation of how what is it? How should I practice? It's only 4 words. Let's see what the words are. The words are, how should I practice? Okay, that's it. Okay, cool. So that was it. Okay, and that is a lot of good ideas. And here's a great question right there. That is, if you were lost in the woods, who would you trust for directions? This is it right there. If you're lost in the woods, who would you trust for direction? An in-tune tenor sax player, an out-of-tune tenor sax player, or Santa Claus? Who would you trust out of those 3? Well, you trust the out-of-tune sax player, because the other 2, an in-tune tenor player and Santa Claus, are just a hallucination. So only the out-of-tune sax player would be real. So I'm Mark Black. This is Mark Teaches Music. And so if you're interested in lessons, go to www.dallasmusiclessons.com. And there's information there talking about lessons. You can look at lessons. And if you didn't put something in the chat there, then send me an email at mark@dallasmusiclessons.com. And as always,